Tale of Frey and the giant beauty Gerd. God Frey, god of light, rain and prosperity, later went to Asgard. I miss you, goddess Freya, who has been away from Asgard for a long time. The goddess searching for her lost husband, god Other. God Frey then followed the path up to the high tower to sit on the throne of Odin, who was away at that time. Read more great myths. Sitting on this throne in the tower, Frey could see where her sister was wandering at that time. The two wolves Gerd and Frey lay quietly at the foot of the throne. Frey looked across Midgard, the human world with street houses and farms. Looking again at the Jotunheim region, the world of towering mountain giants, white snow and ice here and there. Finally, Frey saw her on the way back to Asgard and felt relieved. Suddenly I noticed a house in the middle of the ice and snow of the world of Jotunheim. The door had just opened, and I saw a giant girl with a beautiful face. Leaving the tower, the god wandered around, then couldn't blink an eye all night. I love the beauty of the giant land. Early the next morning, I went to the tower again, but this time the two wolves Gerd and Frey bared their teeth and snarled, not letting me come. I went to consult my father, the god Njord, and my father told me that the beautiful girl was Gerda, daughter of the giant Gymer, and advised Frey to give up the idea of marrying the giant Gymer as his wife because in that case, Frey must lose one of his most precious possessions. Frey's most precious possession is his precious sword, which can conquer any time its owner wants. Frey admitted that he could not help but marry Gerda to reduce loneliness, even if he had to sacrifice the precious sword. Hearing that, god Njord asked, "So here comes Ragnarok, the sunset day of the gods, when the giants come to fight to the death with the gods one last time, where will you get the weapons to fight?" God Frey thought that day was still far away, so he replied, "I can't live without Gerda." Frey confided to Skirnir, a god with a reckless and heartless personality, that Frey wanted to go see Gerda very much, because his duty to govern the forest places could not be abandoned. After hearing this, Skirnir widened his blue eyes, smiled widely and said that he could help Frey deliver letters or convey messages to Gerda, but on the condition that Frey had to reward him with a precious sword. Frey hesitated at first, remembering his father's reminder that the day the gods had to fight to the death one last time with the giants, how could he not have any weapons? But then thinking that that day was still far away, Frey agreed to give the precious sword to Skirnir. Frey also asked Skirnir to bring some silver and jewels to give to Gerda as a bride price. Skirnir jumped on his precious celestial horse, flying along the Bifrost rainbow path through Midgard, the human world, across the river separating this world from the giant world of Jotunheim, through the iron and steel forest, swinging his sharp sword. The ferocious wolves, who were responsible for guarding the giant world, had to move aside and pass through the wall of fire. Finally, I reached the valley where the giant Gymer, the father of the beauty Gerda, was home. Skirnir put his horse on its butt and kicked the door loudly. Gymer was drunk with friends at that time. Gerda was weaving with the maids, listened and then asked, "I wonder who is knocking on our door." A maid ran out to look and said, "Yes. That is a warrior riding a very strong horse." Gerda said, "Even if that person is our enemy, please open the door and let us pour in a cup of the Gymer family's nectar." The door opened, and Skirnir was invited in. The god immediately placed the silver and jewels in front of Gerda and said bluntly, "Oh, "Wonderfully beautiful Gerda, this is the bride price that god Frey asked me to send to you." Gerda said, "Please bring out this gold and silver and show it off to my maids." "No gold, silver or jewels can ever buy my love." Skirnir then pulled out the precious sword and said loudly, "Give your love to Frey, the god who gave me this precious sword, otherwise you will die because of that sword." Gerda laughed and told Skirnir that it's okay to use a sword to scare ordinary people, but how can you scare a giant's daughter? Skirnir then made the sword dance sparklingly in front of Gerda, and at the same time recited the curse at the top of his voice. "I curse you like a green leaf when faced with a cold wind. Leaves must fall from their branches. Listen to the evil curse with the magic sword's light shining with its sound." Hissing horribly above her head, Gerda quickly knelt down on the ground and asked for mercy. Skirnir continued reading, "I curse you. You will stay like this all your life. Gods and people will criticize." No one wants to marry Gerda, crying profusely, begged Skirnir to stop chanting and sheath her sword. She obeyed. Skirnir asked when Frey would see her and where. Gerda said the two would meet in 9 days in the Bari forest. Skirnir was satisfied, sheathed his sword, drank a glass of honey wine, then jumped on his horse and rode back to Asgard. Frey waited anxiously, saw Skirnir return and quickly asked about the results of the trip and was told by Skirnir that in 9 days the two would meet in Bari forest. Skirnir grinned and rolled his blue eyes with immense pleasure because such a precious sword belonged entirely to Skirnir. Meanwhile, Frey turned away inside and said to himself, "The day is long. It's so long. Wait 9 more days before anyone will return. But then the 9 days are over." And Frey and Gerda and he agreed to meet in the forest of Bari. Frey saw Gerda as beautiful as the day he saw her from the high tower where the god Odin resided. Gerda saw the majestic and beautiful Frey and was secretly happy. The couple exchanged engagement rings, then Gerda followed her husband to heaven. Note: the story of Frey and the giantess Gerda is the most allegorical in all Norse myths. Frey is the god of spring, rain and sunshine. Frey loves Gerda just as when spring comes, plants begin to sprout. But when spring comes, we still have to wait for the warm south wind Skirnir to blow to help the plants and trees have a chance to prosper. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.